Hi everybody, this is another episode of Ponderosa North for the Love of Bonanza, and I'm going to focus on articles about Pernell today. And I'm going to get right to it because I have a ton of articles to go through. And I'm not going to focus on the usual ones that we know of, the Confessions of a Troublemaker, the Lone Wolf, what else we got here? This little thing says, he had 12 jobs and finally reached the top. Always a fighter, a rugged individualist. Why is Pernell still restless? Another one here. Should Pernell be replaced? And on and on. And as Brad Pitt said in Moneyball, la 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 la. Yeah, I'm going to focus on other things. So I'm going to start with this one, even though the title of the article is, "Why is this man so angry?" And I really don't like the way they portrayed him like that. He wasn't angry. Ugh. Anyway, so glasses on. Here we go. Outside stage 5, a squat yellow lump of deteriorating stucco, sits the Pace Arrow dressing room trailer of Pernell Roberts, the 54-year-old star of the hit series Trapper John M.D. Just over the curb is the star's personal vegetable garden, 50 square feet or so of open earth, cracked out of the solid concrete at the request of the star. To Pernell, it symbolizes the kind of honest nourishment so lacking in television. Oh boy. It is, as it were, spiritual compensation for the $10,000 per episode and estimated $1 million in side benefits he is supposed to have given up when he walked out on Bonanza or was fired. Jury's out on that. Don't be a damn fool, Pernell, his less fastidious colleague Lauren Green argued. Take the money and buy your own studio. But Roberts would have none of it. He wished to strike a blow for truth by turning his back on the show. If I stayed, it would be like Isaac Stern agreeing to play for Lawrence Welk. Yikes! Okay, let's move on. This is just a side article. I'm not sure what periodical it's from, or I'm just going for it. In the beginning, we were all subordinated to guest stars, a blow to all our egos, but the show took hold, and we were assured that this would change, and it did. After that first year, we were all called in to renegotiate our contracts. We'd signed for 5 years. Now we were to have increased salaries if we signed for 6. I must admit, I gambled on an attitude that proved wrong. I felt the show wasn't that good and couldn't possibly last. I gave it at the most 3 years and figured I could manage, so I blew it. By the end of the 3rd year, Pernell had it and said so. He did the unheard of. He asked for his release from a successful show. The studio said no, period. They frankly couldn't see what he was so unhappy about. He was getting good money and tons of fan mail. What did he object to? Well, first of all, I objected to the complete lack of truth and reality in the parent-child relationship between these 3 grown sons and their father. The conversations I have with my own father are man-to-man. Once a child achieves adolescence, it's no longer the old parent-child bit. Yeah, he said this quite a bit, the father. But I think that was sort of a period thing. I think in the 1800s, that was far more the norm. That no matter how old the children, the father did what the father said. That he was the head of the family. It's evolved from that, but I think that was fairly true to the period. I don't know if you agree. Let me know what you think about that. That was a big beef of Pernell's. Here he is in Whatever Happened to Pernell Roberts. Well, Pernell right there in that picture is in his happy place for sure. This little article says, Pernell swapped his role on Bonanza for a stint in Camelot in the role Richard Burton made famous. How do you like Pernell without his guns? At any rate, he's happy taking on all sorts of roles instead of sticking to one. He'd rather switch than fight. Okay. Another one here. Cartwrights meant cartwheels. This is by Vince Leonard, a Free Press. I'm not sure. TV radio editor. When Pernell Roberts rode off into the sunset 2 years ago, he knew it would be with saddlebags empty. He had stayed with Bonanza. If he'd stayed with Bonanza, his cup would have runneth over. We talked about that before. Moving on down, the news about Roberts is that he plays Jigger in Carousel on ABC, May 7th at 9 p.m. on Channel 4. I have 3 groovy scenes, he said, and they are the 3 scenes I'm in. That's cute. It's funny. It says here, at a point of no return, Roberts is up on his Bonanza facts, but wouldn't make an appearance on this show, not even for old time's sake. That would be getting back into what I got out of. Yet he has appeared recently on The Big Valley, The Virginian, and The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. Certainly no highbrow things compared to Bonanza. Yes, but you don't have to put up with it week after week. You're not locked in. Yeah, that's the thing. He didn't like being locked in. And I know people who work today at many different jobs. They do a job and, okay, I've done that. I'm going to move on. So he was in the same frame of mind about moving on. We all know that. I'm just going to do a little article here. I think this was from TV Guide, and it's from the Chapper John era. And there he is with Charles Siebert. And I'm just going to, it's kind of hard to read here, but I highlighted this little quote that Charles Siebert said about Pernell. It says, if he perceives you are in trouble, he makes himself available. When my wife died, I was devastated. Couldn't talk to anybody about it. He could open up. He saved my life. So there you go. A good listener, apparently, was Pernell. And people who knew him went to him for advice. What else have we got here? A hard man to convince in this article. How much should I read of this? I speak my mind. I sound off. I'm always asking why. Maybe it's one of my failings as a human being. I remember I used to say I'd never walk on a stage without knowing my lines and at least having an approach to the part. But in television, too often, you arrive on the set in the morning, look at each other vaguely, and say, "Let's see what we're saying to one another today." Yeah. He didn't like the fact that you couldn't rehearse in television, that's for sure. He says, I was very undisciplined. I still am. So he definitely knew his faults and appreciated them for better or worse. Let's move on to this little article here, Trapper John article. Just a few little things about this. Says Frankenstein, Jaws, and 007 couldn't overpower us. It was the number 1 show in its time slot. Says irreverently entertaining, the charismatic appeal of Pernell Roberts and Gregory Harrison. Well, it just jumps right off the screen. So yeah, he started doing well. His enigmatic personality definitely went from character to character. This is a very interesting article. I think I have a bit of time. I think I can read the whole thing. Friends who visit actor Pernell Roberts and his wife at their home in warm, sunny California rarely worry about what to wear. Dress is literally everything goes, down to the last stitch of it. Nobody has to undress, said Roberts, but after a while most of them do. They discover there's no reason to be uptight about taking off their clothes. It's marvelous to watch them respond. Roberts grew up barefooted and bare-chested in Waycross, Georgia. He didn't have a toilet. He said, we didn't have a toilet until I was 7. Is about as anti-fashion as anti can get. He hates what he calls the superficiality of fashion per se. Okay. Oh, that's funny. I like this one. But quickly explains he's not about to venture forth on the streets without his clothes on, that his home in Hollywood is secluded and is very private. Then he adds, Like a college professor teaching psychology 1, if you're going to live in the sun, why not enjoy it to the fullest? Well, there is skin cancer to think about. This particular afternoon, on an icy Chicago day, where he was appearing in a reproduction of Welcome Home, he was wearing black leather, something long, usually from some far-off place. They don't give a hoot or holler about fashion trends. Give Roberts a cue, and he'll sound off for 15 straight minutes about what he calls all this superficiality, the planned adolescence and manification of the buying public on the part of advertising and industry. Whew, that's a mouthful. So, yeah, he's kind of a liberal guy. He's wearing his clothes there, but there are, yeah. But if I had a body like Pernell Roberts, I wouldn't have any trouble taking off my clothes either. Guy had a magnificent body. This last article is from his alma mater, Georgia Tech. It says, Pernell Roberts, class of 1950, who more than a decade before setting foot on the Ponderosa as Adam Cartwright on the television series Bonanza, walked across the Tech Tower lawn as he, on his way to class, died of pancreatic cancer January 24th, 2010, at his home in Malibu, California. At 81 years old, he was the last surviving member of the popular Western's original cast. Yes, even to his dying day, Pernell Roberts was still Adam Cartwright. You couldn't write an article his entire career without them going back to his time at Bonanza. Well, I hope I didn't ponder too much on the bad boy part. Most of the articles are mostly about that. I hope I gave you insight into some of the other parts of Pernell Roberts and his liberal clothing and his Trapper John days, and being a listener and saving Charles Siebert's life by just being there for him. So that's it, and we'll see you next time on Ponderosa North for the love of Bonanza. Bye for now.